Hello, everybody. It's meteorologist Hutch Johnson. This is an update on severe thunderstorm risk tonight and the forecast. So we have some changes. Actually, this line of storms you see on hutchesweather.com heading into the Red River Valley. Well, the clouds created by those limiting some of that severe risk, but what's following is the main event. I'll have details on what you need to know for the night ahead in this version of Hutch's Weather.
Now, a Hutch's Weather Update with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson, brought to you by Robert Gibb and Sons.
Thanks, everybody, for joining me. And I just want to start this update out with a personal note here. Dealing with some personal family health issues. And as a result, I may or may not be able to keep up with updates as frequently as you've become accustomed from me. And for that, I apologize. But I'm taking care of some personal business there. So just to let you know, here's what the latest radar shows. A line of thunderstorms is backward C-shape pushing into the Red River Valley is not the main event of severe weather, but some very heavy rain has fallen through in a short time as it made its way through areas of Valley City. Thanks for sending me updates along the way. Now, we do have a few rumbles of thunder making their way in, but there is development out to the west as I show you the setup. Now, I am expecting an update from the Storm Prediction Center real soon on our risks of severe weather that you've heard about from me and others throughout the day. From Arthur, Kindred, Leonard, all the way down through the Milner area, as well as in moving into western parts of Richland County. A strong line of thunderstorms that from time to time capable of producing some nickel-sized hail in a couple of the cells, not everywhere. Gusty winds upwards of 45 miles per hour in a few of the cells, not everywhere. Now, there is some warming going on ahead of this, and there's some warming going on the backside. These storms here forming now in the Bismarck area are fairly stout. So as you look at the Highway 83 corridor from Washburn down through Bismarck, and then heading down into Sioux County, Emmons County, we do see some stronger cells beginning to develop. Here's the setup, and here are the concerns. I did make a post on this just a little bit earlier. Marlis, thanks for watching. Again, if you do have a question, I'd be happy to cover this. But as we take a look at the basics of our risk for severe weather today from the Storm Prediction Center, we do have an area that's called a level 2 risk, or this yellow. It's called a slight risk area. A few strong to severe thunderstorms will be likely in this area, but it may have shifted a little bit, and I will update you on what is going on with regards to that heading into your evening hours. And it does make a little bit of sense once I go over some of the details on the radar with you. Now, we do have all modes of severe weather possible, and here in the next few hours is when I anticipate that some of these storms will have their greatest chance of becoming severe, with that risk for a tornado, very large hail, and wind gusts that could be considerably damaging. These storms will last into the overnight as well. As we go into the overnight, it's still apparent that, to me, it looks like a wind threat as we go into the late night hours. For Fargo, for Grand Forks, for the Devil's Lake Basin, for Sioux Falls, Sioux City, and down towards Omaha, the green colors, a level 1 on a 5-level scale of severe weather risk. That means, Deborah, thank you so very much for your support of Stars of Hutch's Weather. So we take a look at the green on the map here. Those areas that marginal risk means storms might flirt with severe criteria, but I'm not anticipating widespread outbreak of severe weather. So without going into too much detail here, let me show you what Hutch is thinking for the night and get you the latest forecast updates you need to plan your evening. Now, the atmosphere. When we heat the ground with sunshine, that sunshine makes warm pockets of air at the surface. These clouds that have been lingering, moving through the James and Cheyenne River Valley and moving into the Red River Valley now, capped off some of the heating. And because we've lost some of that daylight heating, the energy in the lower atmosphere just isn't there for the severe threat. Where do you see the sunshine making its way through the green ground here? See these thunderstorms starting to develop here? See the sunshine here? We know there's thunderstorms forming here. You got it. This area right here along the North Dakota, South Dakota border, sun-free, that is the area of concern. Now, there is some heated air taking place out ahead of this system. The first system that's been working slowly through southeast and south central North Dakota throughout the morning half of the day and now into the afternoon, there's some heating going on there as well. There will be some instability here, so a few of these storms in the afternoon and evening hours may take off and may get strong, and those do include the ones that are trying to pancake their way through the FM area as we speak. So those are the areas of concern. Now let's go right into the forecast models. We're going to look at 2 or 3 Any of these scenarios are possible tonight. I'll tell you which ones I think might be the most possible, and we'll start with that model right off the bat. So here we go. Let's go ahead and take a look at the forecast. Now, this is an hourly updated model, but first I'm going to show you a different one here that has been doing a little bit better job of handling the convective activity of late. This one showing the morning convection working its way into the valley as we head toward now, and then firing up of storms here in the central Dakotas as low pressure deepens and strengthens in the western part of the state. So the best chance of storms will be this evening as we go through about that 6, 7 o'clock time frame. They'll start working their way into the James River Valley. So be aware, these storms that do form out there near Bismarck will be pushing eastward tonight. This is where the main threat is going to take place. The heating there will allow for some hail to grow as large as 2 inches in diameter. And then a little bit later, as these storms continue to progress their way through the region and into the James and Cheyenne River valleys, and look at this, they kind of take a right turn and start heading down to the south and east, backwards C-shape. And here we're talking about 10 to midnight. So it's a late night arrival here in the Red River Valley for windy thunderstorms. And they, yes, indeed, could be strong to severe. Notice this model not taking that first line of storms and developing it into too much of anything. Continuing to carry this through the night for Lakes Country, the strong storms will mainly be in the southern one half or central part of Minnesota and points south. Up north, a lower chance of rain. Harrison Crank, thank you very much. We'll be there in will there be hail in Fargo in the next hour? There's a chance of some small hail in the FM area. We'll get back to the radar here in a moment. So this is one forecast model. This model, I have a little more confidence in it than some of the others. It is showing the firing of storms in the central Dakotas now that we see taking place. And it does show the main event working its way through southeast North Dakota. Gusty straight line wind threat. There will be a tornado threat with this as well. But as we get later into the nighttime hours, that tornado threat will wane. Let me see if I've got a tornado parameter on this particular model, and I'll show you where the spin will be the highest in the atmosphere. So for tornadoes to form, we not only need thunderstorms, but we need some spin in the lower atmosphere. And this model shows it kind of winding down. So the greatest spin in the atmosphere taking place right now, as these storms are forming. And then as we get into the later evening hours, that spin in the atmosphere wanes as the storms exit to the south and east with a damaging straight line wind threat along with some hail. So keep that in mind. Now that's model 1. We'll take a look at model 2 here real quickly and show you the differences that are taking place. Now this model updates every hour, so let's go ahead and pop up to the most recent model here. Let's see how many hours out we'll go. This is again a look at that tornado risk or the spin in the atmosphere called the significant tornado parameter. Right now, that parameter is highest in the central Dakotas from Bismarck and points south. This makes sense to me, and it does increase considerably as it works its way out to the east toward that Wishick area, Ashley, and then it moves south and dissipates as we head into the late night, overnight hours after midnight and toward morning. So if there's a tornado threat, it's in the central Dakotas, particularly in South Dakota. Monsoon and Horace now, says Jet Collins. Thank you for that, as that heavy rain is pushing into the FM area as we speak. Now let's take a look at the hour-by-hour forecast from this particular model, hourly updating model. Where are these storms going? Here's this first line of storms moving through. The second line of storms developing back here. Now, not in Bismarck, says this model, but near the Jamestown area. Well, this model's already out to lunch a little bit. These storms are already forming right now in and around the Bismarck area. So keep that in mind. It's a little bit too far to the east with the development of these storms. It does bring a chance of storms into the FM area as we go through about 8 to 9 o'clock. So significantly faster than the previous model. And it still looks like this backward C-shape, a long line, what we would call a linear storm system that will bring that heavy gusty wind threat with it as it works through the overnight. And by daybreak, right here at 12Z, this is 7 a.m., that main line will be pushing through the Twin Cities, toward Rochester, toward Duluth, and the Arrowhead of Minnesota. So that's what we're looking at with regards to our storm threat. Now back to answer your questions. Thank you very much. So again, if you missed my top note at the top of the show, the top of this program, I just want everyone to be aware. I want you to stay informed tonight with whatever vehicle that you can. I may or may not be here broadcasting as frequently as I normally do due to a personal family health issue. So because of that, I've got some things and matters to attend to there. So please stay informed if storms approach your area like right now. And now let's get to that radar and let's really tear this apart and show you. Barbara Ann, thank you very much. let's go ahead and go back to what's going on with regards to the radar. Now, we're going to take a look at the single site radar from the Fargo area here. So let me click on this, and it will take a second to load. Now, we got a gully washer going on in Horace. You can see the I-94 corridor here showing from basically West Fargo down towards Horace. It really starts getting heavy into Kindred. And the northern 1/2 or 2/3 of Richland County going to see some very soggy and wet conditions. Little bit of lightning with this, but this system here has been marching its way eastward from south central North Dakota right into the Red River Valley now throughout the day. There is a backwards C shape here. There is some gusty wind potential with this particular system. But as we take a look at the wind gust reports so far today, this is, again, something you won't see typically covered in a lot of different outlets. And that's because, well, there's not time given for this kind of analysis. So here you go. This line of systems that have been moving its way through have produced gusts in localized areas of 30 to 35 miles per hour. This is measured at certain stations. There could be spots in between these gauges that have subtly higher gusts of wind, so we'll put it at up to around 50 miles per hour will be possible from this line of storms in isolated places, but most places are measuring 30 mile per hour winds. Where would the strongest winds be? Let me show you what Hutch knows. Hutch knows we have something called a bow echo. What's a bow echo? Take a look at this line of storms next to my face here, and it's working its way into and toward the FM area. Right now, we do have this backwards C shape to it right here. The backwards C shape, the apex of the bow is right about here. It's where it curves out the most. That bow and arrow, here it is, curving out the most. That's where the gustiest wind will be, likely with the storm. So it's most likely that if you're in Comstock to Christine, this is where the gustiest winds could potentially be hitting with this storm. There can be gusty winds all along that line, but the gustiest of the gusty looks to be there. No real huge hail cores. I'm seeing one little pink icon right here, or pink, what we would call reflectivity from the storm, and that's taking place down there. So this is not the main line of storms. A little bit of lightning, a little bit of wind, a little bit of smallish hail. Let's go ahead and turn on that hail analysis from the radar here, and we'll go ahead and take a look at what it's showing us with regards to hail potential with the storm. So here we go. This, again, not the severe line of storms. There is some hail potential right now. The greatest hail potential coming with Hutch's icons here that are green. Those green icons south of Kindred in northern parts of Richland County and south of Horace there have the potential for some small hail. How small? Less than a 1/2 inch in diameter. So we're talking pea-size hail is going to be most likely from that. Now, if we look at the Walcott area storm here, again, less than 1/2 inch diameter hail. There is a probability of about 50% that some of that hail might make its way down to the ground, smaller than pea size, heading toward the Walcott area. So gusty wind then appears to be some of the main concerns with this. Lori says, gully washer, question mark. I am quite fond of Hutch speak. Gully washer makes more sense than heavy rain. So, well, we have different terms for that, but I call them Hutchisms, so I love the Hutch speak in parentheses as well. Thank you so much for your comments out there. Now, someone was asking too about what time and time frame that this main line is making its way through. Notice this. I'm going to go back out. We're going to sneak on over and take a look at the Bismarck area radar here if I can locate it and turn it on. So pardon me while I turn the site labels on, and let's grab that at the Bismarck Airport. So we'll get a closer look at some of these radar returns, particularly north of town. This Washburn storm starting to show some blues. Do you see that north of Wilton? That's a pretty good little hail core that's developing. But as far away from the radar as this is, it's likely elevated up above the ground. So this is a developing thunderstorm, and it is getting a little stronger. It's showing hail potential to 2 inches in diameter. Do you see that? And that is at the early stages. There's no warning with this. A severe thunderstorm warning is usually issued when this hits, well, when it hits 1 inch in diameter. But it's not just what the radar detects. There's a lot of factors that actually impact what size the hail is when it reaches the ground. Hail estimated size 2 inches. The probability of severe hail is 60%, so it is increasing with these storms here along the Highway 200 corridor, north of Wilton, north of the Regan area, as well as south of Goodrich. So those storms are just taking off, and we have a cell down here south and east of the Bismarck-Mandan area, right along 1804 here as you go south of town. So, you know how you get out of town here, you get up on the hill out there by U Mary out here. This is still south and east of there. So we're talking south of Minokan and working its way toward the Highway 83 corridor here in the river bottoms, if you will, down there. Thank you very much watching, and I appreciate you, Terry, for watching. Deb, thanks for watching from the FM area. It's good to have you on board. Well, let me see. What do we got here? Another comment. Okay, we got thanks for your prayers very much, and they're very much appreciated. That's all I really want to get into for tonight, but thank you very much. So the risks tonight are going to be in the next couple of hours. The risks will be greatest as we go through the next few hours into the early evening hours here in parts of South Central North Dakota, North Central South Dakota. Rotation is possible with a couple of these storms. A tornado or two cannot be ruled out. That's not the main threat. Tonight, we're already seeing an increase hail cell up here north of the Bismarck area, north of the Wilton area. These storms will be making their way off to the east. Now, some of you are asking about what about Baudette, way up to the north and to the east in north central parts of Minnesota now, a long ways from there. But all I want to say, Barbara, is two models that we looked at and showed moments ago. Watch this video in its entirety here in a moment. But you're going to notice that most of the storms will move into central Minnesota and then dive south tonight. So it's the eastern Dakotas, central Minnesota, including Lakes Country. And by Lakes Country, I know there's lakes everywhere in Minnesota, but by Lakes Country, I mean in and around the Brainerd Lakes area, the Detroit Lakes area, Otter Tail County, these areas. Let's say Park Rapids, mainly in Point South. That's where the greatest chance that some thunderstorms will be, but it will be after midnight, most likely, in these areas. And the risks will mainly be the gusty wind and a couple of storms with some hail. Brandon, thank you. Is it going to storm bad in Moorhead? We do have some heavy rain coming toward the FM area right now. It's pushing in. I'm looking out my window. The trees are still, so we're not getting a big gust or burp of wind right here. Janine, thank you very much for your input from Valley City. And indeed, I did get your reports out there, and some significant measurable rain making its way through with this line of storms. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Doppler radar estimates of rainfall with these cells. Whoopsies, let's see what's going on here. How come there we go. Have to put my crayon away. The Doppler radar can estimate how much rainfall has fallen from these puppies as they've barked their way across the southern half of North Dakota. And so for that, we'll take a look at the storm total precipitation estimates. Let's go back out here to the Bismarck area. Now, when we look, this cell, a cluster of cells made its way all the way from Dickinson through Morton County, right in the Bismarck area, Steele, and then kind of redeveloped, is now pushing its way in towards Valley City. So when we look at the details, and you can share with me, Janine, what you think, if this is close to the measurements that you got out there. But this is showing about 3/4 of an inch estimated by Doppler radar in and around a Valley City. Sanborn, lower amounts, upwards of 1/2 of an inch. Tower City, look at that, 1.1 inches of rain estimated by Doppler in and around that Buffalo to Tower City stretch. What about Catherine? How about 1 to 2 inches of heavy rain? That's frog strangling levels, because you get 2 inches of rain, that's taller than many frogs out there. So keep that in mind if you're hearing a lot of croaking going on out there. South of Alice, 1.2 inches of rain estimated. So what's heading into the FM area as we go through is this batch of heavier rain that's pushing its way in right now. It's raining along the border, and we'll see these levels start to increase just a bit. Now, as we go out towards Bismarck and Sioux County and Grant County, 1 to 2 inches of rain estimated, where you see these pink colors here. There's Sioux County. How about a solid 2-inch estimate there on Doppler radar? Dickinson, about 1/2 of an inch. Get up towards the Killdeer area up here. Oh, McKenzie County is looking like 1/2 of an inch of rain, and it's a beach and beach at 1/10 of an inch. Sudden downpour in Dilworth right now. So there are some localized areas of heavy rain starting to make their way down. Not severe. No severe expected with this main line yet. There could be some as it makes its way off to the east just a wee bit later. There'll be a little bit more. Let me show you what I mean with energy in the atmosphere here. We have a temperature with the rain-cooled air in the Valley City area of 64. It's 75 here in Fargo-Moorhead. We don't have anybody with really ridiculously hot temperatures. There was a chance today to push well up into the 80s. So we do have some 80s. Minneapolis, southwest Minnesota. And look at the heat. The heat is really on here in Pierre. So there's volatility in the atmosphere here with an increase in sunlight along the North Dakota-South Dakota border here. So let's see if we've got a couple of readings. Mobridge at 79 degrees. Linton, Hazleton, Moffett, Braddock area here, 79 degrees. So there's some increased temperature there. 1.3 measured in Catherine. Thank you, Stacy, for your measurement down there. south of the Valley City area as we head into the evening hours. So I appreciate that very much. So the real hot air, the real volatile air is right down here near Gettysburg, Lake Oahe, in towards Eureka, and pushing up into the Bismarck area. So on that boundary, we do have some energy, and there's some energy coming from the upper levels of the atmosphere to help support this whole the whole frog strangling thing going on through the nighttime hours. What makes the rain so efficient? Well, dew points. So if we have dew points in the 60s and 70s, which we do here, we call this a tongue of moisture, and that tongue is licking us all the way from the Gulf. So it's making its way up south winds throughout the Central Plains, and this Gulf of Mexico moisture working its way all the way up into the Dakotas. So look at the dew point temperatures out here. Denver, Colorado, 12. That means we have to cool the air down to 12 degrees for it to become a relative humidity of 100%. In Denver, Colorado. That's drier than popcorn out there. It's dry. Rain finally starting in South Fargo near Shanley School. Thanks, Sunny Boy. Sunny Boy 76. Good to have you on board on my YouTube channel. So that's a look at what's going on right now. We're going to go ahead and review one more look. And I do think that the Storm Prediction Center should be sending out an update now. So I'm going to effort to look at what we have going on with regards to some of my data here, because when I started this, they had not output that information quite yet. So let's go ahead and reload this and see what we got. So the new update is due in the next 11 minutes. So I don't think there's going to be any surprises from my friends at the Storm Prediction Center over what I've told you. After 30 years of forecasting here in the Northern Plains, we're going to need that instability created by that sunlight, and that's taking place south of Bismarck. That doesn't mean that you will not get storms in Bismarck. It's taking place in South Dakota. It means the energy in the atmosphere has more to work with down there than it does here in the valley. Speaking thereof, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of these energy factors in the atmosphere. Convective energy to make thunderstorms, where you see the pink here. Remember, we saw that 90-degree air. The pink is where we got the real high energy amounts when it comes to the atmospheric potential energy for thunderstorms. So we see a little nose of increased energy along that batch of showers now pushing into the Red River Valley. The energy in Minnesota, it drops off like good old hee-haw music. It was gone. Okay, now we got Pierre to Winter and all the way out towards Rapid City. These levels are measured in joules per kilogram of air, and we have 4,000 joules of CAPE out here, convective atmospheric potential energy. A lot of energy here. So this is where the main event is going to likely develop. Fire, there will be storms pushing up into the southern half of North Dakota. There could be a couple of storms that reach the Highway 200 corridor tonight, but notice this, as they do move north, there's a lot lower energy in the atmosphere there. Now, when we look at the spin in the atmosphere, let's take a look at that tornado parameter. We did this on a couple of models, and now you can see the highlights here of where the spin right now in the atmosphere, calculated by these computer models, is right here. So spin in the atmosphere, Central Dakotas. It'll be in the next few hours here when the thunderstorms start right now and into the early evening where the risk will be greatest. And then this risk for tornadoes will generally be waning as we go through the overnight hours. Wanda and Jamie, good to have you on. How long is this supposed to last? We'll go over the model one more time so those of you that missed it can see it. Here we go. One last look at those models, and then we'll cut this off. As Hutch will go back and tend to some personal family matters. I did want to take one moment and remind you, hutchesweather.com, anytime, anywhere, a great place for you to get weather information. So if you want to know whether a warning is issued for a storm approaching your area like Fargo, let hutchesweather.com follow your location. Right above my head here, there's a gear. You see the gear? Type in your location if you're not going to allow it to track your device. I'm in Fargo. I'm in Moorhead. You type that in, and if there's a warning, it'll show up right at the top of your screen here. So it's a great resource for you. My latest video update will be there. If I'm live, you'll see the live trigger here. You'll see the live button there because, yeah, Hutch is live right now. Storms firing in the Central Dakotas is where it's at. That's where the main event will be. Here's a look at the models. We looked at two earlier. I will look at two different ones now because we might as well take as much input as we can to come up with a conclusion, and I'll share that with you when I'm done. This particular model here we didn't look at, but this is another model that, well, it's doing a fairly good job, but notice it doesn't have anything going on here in the FM area. Oh, here it is. Okay, so As we go into our afternoon, there's that overnight event that worked its way all the way out of Bismarck and towards us. Here we go. Firing storms not far from Bismarck here. This isn't too far off. It's on the Highway 200 corridor. Where do they go? They get more organized. All risks of severe weather moving into Stutzman County, Barnes County, and very backwards C-shape looking here, becoming very gusty as we approach the 7 to 8 time frame. After that, this thing picks up speed. It's a little faster than the other model, and it says that it'll be here by the time we get to about 8 to 10 o'clock in Fargo. So be prepared for some gusty storms to follow up that other line that was making its way through. The greatest chance in this scenario will be for gusty straight line winds moving through the valley, and these storms down south where there's more energy may have indeed some more rotation and spin to work with. As we go toward the overnight hours after 10 o'clock here and midnight, you're going to notice that they continue to move out into lakes country. Basically, these storms on the north side get cut off from the inflow. This is going to take over and rock its way into southern Minnesota, kind of moving into that south flow of energy from those low-level winds with humidity in them. So that's how this is going to play out. I do like the way this model is pairing it. It might be a little bit too fast with regards to when the storms are going to make their way here. And here is the most recent model from this hourly updated model. Let's see how it's doing. It shows the main line moving through and out, fizzling out. It shows storms firing near Bismarck all the way out towards Jamestown. And this is the main event. This is a low pressure center forming right here. This is a little warm front forming right here. Along the warm front, there could be some spin. And then this, as we go into the 10 to midnight time frame, makes its way into the FM area. So a round of rain now. Another round of strong and potentially severe storms as we go into the 8 to 10 o'clock hour here. Any word on Lemoore, North Dakota? Well, let's take a look. Right here's Lemoore. As you go through the evening hours in Lemoore County and Dickey County, you can expect those storms that are now firing to your west and north to make their way through as we go through about the 6 to 8 p.m. time frame. There will be all risks in your area tonight. Tanya, thank you for your question. That's what's going on there. Outlook for Alexandria is a line of very windy thunderstorms as we go beyond about the midnight hour for Douglas County, Minnesota. Then these storms in the deep overnight hours heading into the morning. Looks like they lose their punch. So as a wind down to what's going on right now, we have showers, rumbles of thunder I'm hearing in the FM area. We have a line of thunderstorms that are not severe right now. Those will move through. After that, we'll have a chance for some severe storms between, say, 8 and midnight here in the Red River Valley. It looks like the Southern Valley has a greater chance at seeing strong storms than the Northern Valley, the way things are transpiring on the models right now. And I do think that that looks like the scenario that we're going to see pan out here. Here's a look at the latest radar. As we take a look, we do have strong thunderstorms developing along the Highway 200 corridor south of McCluskey in Sheridan County and just off to the east of the Washburn area. This one here is starting to show a little hook on it. See that little hook right there? Okay, there's not a tornado warning, but that's the kind of a thing you see. See this little finger hook right there? That could be an inflow notch right there. And if that has a rotating updraft, that rotation of that updraft spins the raindrops and hailstones out of it and creates what we call a hook echo. And is this a hook echo? Well, we'll see if there's some spin associated with it right in this particular area. I better get to make sure I'm on the Bismarck radar here. It looks like I am. So is this same area seeing some real tight spin? No, it's not. It's just showing some weak shear in the area, but there is some shear at this particular stage. When we take a look then back at that normal radar data, we're going to see that we do have that hail core that's trying to develop. It's very, very small in aerial coverage right now. So I get back to the single site radar right here where you see the blue flashing straight south of Mercer. That's a pretty good little updraft there supporting some sizable hail there. Looks like north of Tuttle, we do have some in the Steele County area. And I'm hearing rumbles of thunder now in the FM area. Here in the Fargo area, I'll switch the radar over to the Mayville radar so we can get a better view of what's coming into town right now. Some thunder, some lightning, mainly south, and Abercrombie and Richland County is where the heaviest rain is. A gully washer just reported in the Dilworth area. There's that heavy band of rain making its way straight south through Sabin and into northern Wilkin County, north of the Wahpeton, Breckenridge area, excuse me. As we go down into Abercrombie, we do have maybe a little bit of a hail core in that Colfax area. And that's what we have going on right now. This is not severe. The risk of severe with this line of storms is pretty low, as we showed you with the couple of models. Indeed, Jordan, the clouds are certainly dark out there. As you go out to the west, this is the main event that will be taking place, particularly if we watch what's going on down here in the Mobridge, South Dakota area. Any storms that get firing down here near this 90-degree area and closer to that will have a lot of upward energy with them to create some interesting weather tonight. Thank you, At Home with Carmen. Thank you for watching KN and all of you out there supporting Hutch's Weather. Make sure you stay informed tonight if storms approach your area between now and about 2 a.m. And the main threats will be gusty wind and some sizable hail to about 1 to 2 inches in diameter. Cannot rule out a tornado, particularly in the early onset of storms out here. The greatest risk for tornadoes appears to be along the North Dakota-South Dakota border with regards to where the spin is. Minot anything? Brenda, it looks pretty quiet for Minot as we go into the evening hours. Taking a look at your radar, you do have some storms to the north of the border moving out of Estevan and heading across the prairies of Manitoba there to the southern Manitoba. That's it. These will continue to move off to the east. So there's this line of showers here. Anywhere along this line, we could see a brief sprinkle or shower, burp out of these clouds up top. But the main event right here as low pressure forms into north central South Dakota and moving east tonight. I may or may not be here doing live coverage tonight. I'm dealing with a family health matter, so please keep that in mind. Get the information that you need. This update will be up here. I'll keep you updated right here. You're watching Hutch's Weather. I'll have some short updates for you throughout the evening. They may not be as timely as they're used to, though, and I just wanted to be honest with you about that. Thank you for your thoughts and prayers, and we'll keep you informed the best we can tonight and right here on Hutch's Weather and hutchesweather.com. Thanks for your follows on Facebook. Subscribe on my YouTube channel. Have a wonderful Tuesday night. We do have more storms on tap for Thursday and Friday, and yes, they could be severe. Thursday and Friday after a break on your hump day. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson.